guys, want to do a quick video on the coronavirus. There's been a lot of confusion and I think misinformation on what's going on right now, and I want to try to address some of it. For whatever reason, I've been following this pretty closely for about the last 5 weeks. It caught my attention and I started following it, started doing my own research, looking into it, following several people on Twitter who are scientists and experts on epidemiology and viruses and statistical research and that kind of thing. There are several people from all over the world who are active on Twitter and have been commenting frequently with data and statistics, kind of evaluations of the situation and what's been going on for the last several weeks. And they have been sounding the alarms for several weeks now and have been concerned about what they were seeing. So I had taken heed to that and had been following them. And it's only been in the last week or so that this has kind of picked up steam, and it seems like a lot of people in the United States have finally started to realize the scope and the magnitude of what's going on. And there are people who are, I think, unreasonably afraid of what's going on. There are conspiracy theorists who are having fun with it. But my bigger concern is there's a lot of people who are not remotely concerned with what's going on. I think it's being, fake news and overblown, and that it's just not anything we have to worry about. And that concerns me, so I want to address some things in this video. I know that a lot of people have a tendency to regard news as being fake, and rightly so, especially if you're into politics and follow politics. The media is obviously biased, and yes, they do spread misinformation, and yes, they're unfair, and there's certainly a reason because of that to distrust them. I don't know that the media is known for spreading misinformation or being untrustworthy on the topic of public health. And that's what we're talking about here, is public health. I think it also should be said that I think it's completely inappropriate for the media or politicians or anybody whatsoever to politicize this issue. It's not appropriate. We can armchair quarterback this situation weeks or months from now, but right now is not the time to do that. Right now, everybody needs to get on the same page. We need to cooperate. We need to work together, and we need to do everything we can to snuff this virus out before it becomes a bigger problem than it already is. But the president, unfortunately, has referred to this as, being like the common flu, has said that it's not really a big deal. There have been similar comments from people like Rush Limbaugh. The one that really has me scratching my head is Dr. Drew, who has really kind of drawn my angst over the last couple days. He has been all over television saying that the media is spreading fear and that this is no big deal, that the flu kills many more people and that we shouldn't be concerned or worried about it. I think that is borderline negligent, and it is not true. And all of the statistics that are available, all the information that we have right now, back that up, that these claims that it is comparable to the flu or less severe than the flu are absolutely false. There's lots of different data that you can use to determine the severity of a flu virus. You can look at the R0 value, you can look at the hospitalization rate, and you can look at the death rate. And all of those statistics show that the coronavirus is significantly worse than what we would call the regular, normal seasonal flu viruses that we deal with. The other thing that we need to realize is that the coronavirus is a group of viruses. There are, I can't remember, it's either 4 or 5 strains of it that have already been known that circulate around the world. Our immune systems are used to them. They mutate, they come, sometimes we get ill, sometimes we don't. We have flu shots that we're vaccinated with to prevent us also from getting sick from those strains. But the problem with this new virus is it's new. We are just learning about it. There is no vaccine for it. We are not immune to it. And so that is why it has been wreaking the havoc that it has in other places of the world and is now starting to affect us here in the United States. The death rate for the common flu is 0.1%. According to the World Health Organization, as of yesterday, the death rate for the coronavirus is 3.4%. That is 30 times higher than the seasonal flu. That is significantly higher. These numbers can be confusing because it's hard to calculate the death rate until everything is all said and done. That number is fluid. It will change. But we also have to look at things like the hospitalization rate. The hospitalization rate, if I can talk, for the seasonal flu is not that high. Information out of China that has been given by our own government and by WHO is that 20% of those who catch the virus have to be hospitalized because they're in serious or critical condition and could need help breathing. That is an incredibly high number. And I think we all know from watching what has unfolded in Wuhan that their medical system, their hospitals have been completely inundated by patients. They have been totally unable to handle just the sheer numbers of people needing medical treatment. And it's resulted in them having to build a new hospital, having to turn other buildings into facilities where they can house patients. We also see the same thing happening right now in South Korea and Italy. I read a story the other day. It's a couple days old. It's a little dated now because things are changing so quick. But in Italy, they're having some issues. Hospitals are inundated. And right now, out of the known number of people positive for the virus, 40% of them are hospitalized. In South Korea, there's one town where the virus is hit, where there are upwards of 500 people who need to be hospitalized, who are waiting at home for a hospital bed to open up. So in addition to the death rate, we need to be worried that medical systems and hospitals just simply do not have enough beds to treat and deal with all the patients who are going to need assistance if this turns into a full-blown pandemic. If, obviously, is the big question, and we don't know that. And the critics who claim this isn't worse than the flu are right in the fact that, 20, 30, 40,000 people in the United States die every year from the seasonal flu. Absolutely correct. As of now, I think 10 people in the United States, at the time that I'm filming this, have died from the coronavirus. Okay. But the problem is the rate of death, how easily it spreads, the fact that people who spread the virus do it without showing any symptoms of having the virus. Therefore, that makes it hard to contain. It spreads easily. How do you stop it? Those issues need to be considered by those who are trying to poo-poo the seriousness of this. The problem is we don't want this to turn into a pandemic. Some people think that it's about to turn the corner and about to become a pandemic. Some people think it already is a pandemic. About 10% of Americans get the flu each year. Some people say that if this virus becomes unstoppable, it could circulate around the world. 50 or 60% of the world could get the virus. If 60% of the world gets the virus, and 2 or 3% of those who catch the virus die, that will result in the death of tens of millions of people. This is not the flu. Therefore, we each have a responsibility to be cautious and be aware of what's going on. We need to know the facts. We need to take time to do the research, listen to experts. Don't get all your information from a politician who have other agendas. Don't get all your information from one news source. Take a little bit of time out of your day. Just do some research. Look around. If you're on Twitter, follow some of the things that are going on there from experts who actually do this for a living and follow it. Don't listen to a TV doctor whose focus is on addictions and not communicable diseases. If this thing becomes full blown, it's going to get really bad. We shouldn't be panicking. We shouldn't be afraid, but we should be taking certain steps. What are we going to do to prevent this from spreading? We've seen what China has had to do to stop it from spreading. Are we willing or capable or wanting to do that in the United States? We could have to shut down all our schools, all our daycares, businesses could shut down, people could have to work from home, communities could have to be cordoned off to prevent people from coming in and out and spreading the virus to others. So that is why you're seeing people go out and shop and clear shelves of goods. We shouldn't be panic buying, but I think the responsible thing to do is to say, hey, there could come a point where we could be stuck in our homes. Either if we're sick and need to quarantine ourselves, or if there's an outbreak in our community and we don't want to go out and risk catching the virus, there could be a time of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks where we have to stay in our homes. And the responsible thing to do is, hey, go buy some extra toilet paper. Stock up your pantry. Get some food so that if something happens and you are required to stay in your home, you don't have to rely on the government to help or some outsider. You don't have to risk your health and your well-being. Just be prepared. So if you have to hunker down, you can do it, and we'll get through it and we'll be fine. We also need to wash our hands. If we have any symptoms of having the flu, we need to stay at home. With the normal flu, I think a lot of Americans, we might stay home for a couple days because the symptoms are making us stay home because we're so sick and we don't feel well. But when we have the flu, you won't see people staying home for a week or 10 days because we want to prevent other people from catching it. Usually that's not something that we think about or that's foremost in our mind. And one of the reasons for that is so many people struggle in this country. They can't afford, if they don't get paid sick leave, a lot of people can't afford to stay home for 3, 4, 7 days until they've recovered from the flu. But we need to think differently right now because we cannot risk, if we have any symptoms, spreading this to other people. The death rate for people, particularly over the age of 70, and for those who already have health problems, is bad. Of those, I know over the age of 80 who catch it, between 14 and 15% of them die. We cannot risk getting this virus circulating widely around the country, around the world, and having mass numbers of people perishing. So we need to be responsible. We need to be prepared to stay in our homes. We need to be willing to stay on our homes if it comes to that. Nobody wants it to come to that. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that a lot of us are wrong about this and that this thing doesn't get bad. But we have to look at what's going on in the rest of the world right now and the chaos that's being caused in China and in Iran and South Korea and Italy. We have to be aware. We have to look and see what is going on there and know that this could possibly happen here and that we have to take measures to try to prevent that from happening. And quite frankly, it might be too late. The cat might already be out of the bag. They already think that there could be several hundreds of people in the Seattle area who could be carrying this right now. They don't know. And certainly cases continue to pop up all over the country. So we don't know, but we have to be prepared. We have to be willing to make tough choices, but we have to at least acknowledge at a minimum that this is a problem. This isn't the flu. We need to be informed. We need to keep an eye on it. Wish everybody the best. I know some of you are still going to look at this and say, this guy's a doctor. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's fine. I get that. But I would at least encourage you, if you have doubts about what's going on, if you're skeptical, just don't look at one news source. Don't listen to certain politicians. Look on the internet. Look for alternative news sources. Look for people who are experts in this field. Listen to what they're saying. And if you do that with an open mind, and if you're objective, you'll learn that we need to take this seriously.